Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own Judy Kopenbarger. How are you, Judy?
I am awesome. Happy Tuesday to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I love your background because it just brings in the season, right? It's just, I just feel pumped up, right? It feels just great.
I love it. And it smells good in here too.
I'm sure,
I love
and I
this
think
here.
I love it too. And also, folks, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Make sure that you are following Judy at judykopenbarger.today. As you can see, we're getting ready to wrap up the year, and crazy, right? We're in the second week of December already. It's going by really, really fast.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know we have a lot we want to catch up on before the end of the year. So, what do you say we get started?
Let's do it.
So, one of the things that's coming up, as we end the year, there's a lot of things that we didn't get to. We're going to probably plan for 2024. But let's start with what are your biggest, what would you say to people that ask the question, what are your biggest financial goals for the coming year? And how can you start working towards them like now?
Yeah. I love that. How do you do that? Right. I know I have goals. I know there's things I want to do. How do I do that? I think that the biggest part of any goal setting is just to envision your future. Imagine if I drove that car, or if I lived in that zip code, or if I had that education, or if my kids had that experience in life, what would be the outcome for me? How would that make my life more, better, different? So you kind of envision that. And some people it's really easy. Some people really struggle with that, imagining a future that isn't here yet. For me, it's easy. I've always been a pretty easy goal setter. It's been really simple to just achieve and imagine when I get to the other side what that would look like. But I work with a lot of folks that really kind of struggle with that. When I work with couples, usually one is better than the other at imagining that. But you've just got to envision that, if I had that savings, if I didn't have that debt, if I had the money set aside before I went on the trip and didn't have to worry about using credit cards on the trip, things like that, what would that be like? What would that outcome be, or what would that result be for you? I think that's the best place to start. And that was a great question. Yeah, how do I do that? Right.
I think in the past, also, when we're talking about envisioning our future, right? There's also something that you brought up, several episodes ago when you talked about smart goals, right?
Mhm.
Can you can you elaborate a little bit on what smart goals are and how we should approach them?
Yeah, well, it's a word. It's also an acronym, SMART, right? And so, for a proper goal, you want to have these 5 elements to them, um, to give you the highest probability of success in achieving them. And the first thing, it needs to be very specific. Exactly what does that look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What exactly is the goal? A goal is a successful retirement. That's not very specific. It means having $10,000 a month as long as I live, for my expenses. So you want to be specific. The M is measurable. So there's got to be a way to know that you achieved it. So if you say, I want to be in better shape, well, how do you know if you did it? Is it your body measurement? Is it some weight, or is it fat count? Is it how many pull-ups you can do? How do you measure that level of fitness, right? It's got to be attainable. So to have a goal of living on Mars, not that it won't happen in our lifetime for someone, but
Right.
is it an attainable goal that you can actually do something every day to work toward? Maybe. Is it relevant? Is it relevant to your life? Is it relevant to your happiness and success and whatever goals you have about your way of being? And is it time bound? If you say, I want to live in Costa Rica one day. Well, one day, the goal needs to be for you to work toward it and have that highest probability of success you're looking for. By January 17th of 2027, I want to own property in Costa Rica, right? That would be a goal that is time bound. And it also has those other aspects. So that's a SMART goal. And hopefully that'll help you be really, really successful in getting your goal list down.
I think what's awesome also is that you touch on a lot of things such as, like, how do we prioritize these goals? How do we connect these goals to that motivation? Like being Costa Rica, I want to get there, right? Or I want to
Yeah.
get to the moon, right? That's a driven factor. And I think a lot of us kind of lose that motivation because little things come up, little hiccups happen in life. And so sometimes we just can't move from that, and I think the show also has helped a lot of folks kind of get over that hump, when we're talking about that as well too.
Yeah, and it's
One
so
of the
important once you have a goal to keep it in front of you, to have visuals of it, to remind yourself every day, what am I working for? Why did I get up today? Why am I doing this job? Why am I, trying to get new clients, whatever it is. The big why is going to be the goals. And it's that result of having achieved the goals. So you got to keep it in front of you, put pictures in front of you. If it's about real estate, go on the weekends and go to open houses and look at them, get online. So that the people that are successful, that's what they're doing.
So, and I'm going to give you a follow-up question too. So, there's folks also that have asked, how do we get to a clear understanding of, and I'm sure you've asked this question to folks too, have a clear understanding of current financial situations that include your income, your expenses, our net worth, and more importantly, how do you deal or prepare yourself for surprises? Well, actually, I guess you can't prepare yourself for surprises because there are surprises, right? So, how do you kind of get to that clear understanding of your overall financial situation?
Well, I think you just said it. Know exactly what your income is, what your income could be. Is there a side hustle? Is there a way to make more money doing what you're doing? Is it time to totally jump ship and do something different? Right? If it's about income, expenses, know exactly where the money goes. And, most of us are better at allocating expenses than we are allocating income. And what I mean by that is when the money comes in, let's say you're going to get $2,000, in your paycheck. That's how much you get to spend. You should already know where that's going to go, what buckets it's going to go into, toward housing, toward gas, toward insurance premiums, toward food, whatever it is. You should know where it's going to go before it shows up. You'll be much more successful if you learn to allocate income as well as expenses. Expenses are easy because usually it comes with a bill and you know what is owed and when it's owed, right? And that
Right.
is your creditor or your vendor being very specific. They have a smart goal. They know how much money, they know by what date, right? So there you go. So you can do that too. And then besides knowing your income and expenses, you want to know your net worth. You want to know, the benchmark. Where am I starting? If I'm going to go on this journey and I know where I want to end up because my goal is specific and measurable, where am I starting? Exactly how much do I have now that I can allocate toward those goals? And so that's just knowing your assets, going on Zillow, finding out what your house is worth if you're going to move, what kind of equity might I have in there? What liabilities do you have? What's the balance of all these things? And are there high interest credit cards, for example, that I could turn into low interest credit cards or just pay those off first? What's my strategy to optimize the dollars that I have? And so all of that is just getting a really clear understanding of where you are and where you're starting.
So, Judy, as we kind of get to the end of the year, we talked about over the last year, personal, business. In some cases, it all comes together for some folks. Other folks are still working the 9 to 5 and still dealing with other aspects of finances as well too. So, when you think about the end of the year, when you think of finances, when I think, okay, 2024 is right around the corner, what have you experienced with folks that are the biggest financial anxieties and concerns, especially over this last year? Because I know you've touched a lot of lives, you've experienced a lot of opportunities to help folks. So I think this would be very valuable to take some time and talk about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. This week I had two sets of clients that are kind of in this, like, in January, something's changing. And one set, they're very, very wealthy, make a lot of money, and they have very high earning potential. And they do that. But one of her company, it's the wife, just got bought out. And in January, they're going to find out if they have a job or not. And this is like a $350,000 job or not, right? And then I had another couple, same thing. The industry is totally changing. They're laying off all these people. They are not high income earning. So they have this nail biting experience as well for different reasons. Like, how are we going to pay our bills? The other one's, how are we going to continue with our goals and funding the businesses that we're creating? But it's the same thing. It's like, something's changing and I feel like I don't have control. And all I can say about that is a lot of it is mindset, and it's your personal beliefs. Are they positive beliefs or are they limiting beliefs? And if you believe you're going to fail, or you're going to run out of money, you're not going to be able to pay your bills, you got to pull your kids out of school, whatever it is. If you believe that way, you're probably going to be right. And if you believe that it's unlimited out there, The pie just keeps getting bigger of what's available. And you have skills and you have resources that you can use and people are looking for. If you believe that, you're also going to be correct, right? So a lot of it just starts with your mindset. Do you deserve to do well? Do you deserve to have money overflowing after the bills are paid? Or do you feel like you're in this cycle and that's how your parents did it? That's how your grandparents did it. It's always been a struggle for you. It doesn't have to stay that way. Does not have to stay that way. So how you believe is how it's going to go. And so that's something maybe over Christmas you can spend some time changing some of those beliefs that are not serving you well, getting rid of the limiting beliefs and replace them with ones that really serve you and will take you where you absolutely want to go and deserve to be.
So I think it's a scary situation for a lot of us who've experienced that. Like you're talking about the couple that's gonna, you don't know if you get a job next month or
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's also would be fair to say that with proper planning, knowing the potential that this could happen in a year, this could happen in 6 months, it could happen in 3 months. Take us down that path of how would mentally, like you said, mindset, right? It's all about mindset. How could you get a clear mindset to prepare for a potential, I don't know if you want to call it catastrophe, however you want to call it,
Yeah.
but just this surprise, right? This element of surprise that you're not counting on.
Well, we learned a lot from COVID about preparation, and I love that word. I think we should prepare in many ways, but what we learned was people that had access to cash when it wasn't available, like your business is suffering, you can't get customers anymore, they can't come in. You can't go to where, if you're in sales, you can't go to where you're going to be selling or doing whatever your craft is. So we learned that people who had savings did well. People who had a line of credit for their business, or they had a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, that they could access cash to see them through until the government started helping people out with that. Those people did well. So that was preparation, right? And I think everybody should have savings. COVID taught a lot of people that didn't save to start doing that. And I remember reading the numbers in 2021, 2022 of how the percentage of money that people are saving way higher than it had been the last 5, 10, 15 years because we get a little bit comfortable. Even stocking up in the pantry, having an earthquake kit, having batteries and candles, all that stuff. Depending on where you live, there's probably something that can go wrong that you want to be prepared for. And financially, people that are so anxious about, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. What if the job goes away? What if we have to move or a health issue comes up? The people that have money in the account, in their savings account, enough to maybe get 2, 3, 4, 5 months through their expenses, probably sleep better at night, right? And so that could be a goal that you have. We're talking about smart goals today. One of the goals might be to have that cash reserves on hand where you don't have to go borrow from neighbors. You don't have to go get a hard money loan. You don't have to beg the bank to give you something or sell something that's precious to you to get the cash to see you through. So preparation, sometimes is that cash reserves, that savings. What is your plan B? What if something happened? What if the baseball went through the windshield? Do I have the right insurances in place? Do I have, resources available to me if I need them while I'm building up my own cash reserves? What are my options? So I think just knowing what those are, and it's like, okay, worst case, here are the things that I could do should that surprise happen. Or it could be just a little surprise, like you get 2 flat tires at one time, you have to get new tires, that's expensive. But it could be a big meltdown. It could be like a financial implosion where
Right.
both of you are out of work at the same time and the baby's sick. Now what do we do? And so you just want to be prepared. All these things you can do, having your emergency fund put together, um, preparing for inflation. If you had a spending plan 2 years ago for your expenses and groceries and things like that, gas, filling your tank, if you're still driving a gas car, all of those things, it's different now than it was. And I was at the grocery store the other day and just making a couple simple recipes, but I needed to buy some produce and some meat. And it's like, are you kidding me? Most of what I wanted was about double. And I don't shop produce very often because we have a farm here, but I needed some certain things. Since last time, a couple of years ago, that I bought the same items, they were about double, just about
Wow.
double. And I hate spending money on produce. I hate that. But, sometimes you got to do it. But I wonder about people that don't have a farm, don't have eggs and, veggies and fruits at their fingertips, how they do that compared to where it was a couple years ago. And anytime you're short, there's three options. You can make more money, you can spend less money, or you can sell something, maybe downsize, whatever. But those are the only three options. And for some people, this is the time of year where they're thinking, what of those options make sense to me going into 2024? How can I plan for prepare, in case the surprise happens, or to avoid a surprise that I see might change, something in my career might change. How do I be ready for that? So this is the time of year to do that. And, a lot of us have some days off over the coming weeks, family time and shopping time and things like that. It might be a really good time to visit or revisit the planning that we have in place. What are the contingency plans? And put that together. It's a great time of year to do that.
Very powerful stuff, folks. If you're just joining us, please make sure you watch the beginning of the show. We are doing end of the year, preparing for next year as well too. But Judy's brought up some amazing, great points that you got to start thinking about as well. If you're not following Judy, do so at judycopenbarger.today for all the relevant content of today's financial world, chaos, solutions, and our very own money whisperer. Always providing you guys with great wisdom. So with that said, it's about we're almost to the end of this show, and you know what that means. I'm going to call this our end of the year challenge because we are getting close to the end of the year. So, what do you got for us?
Going into 2024, and I know I'm dating this content, but maybe we're at the end of some future year. It's the same story. Your challenge is to get pen and paper and write down just your short list of how to get the most bang for your buck in 2024. What do I need to do in my financial life? Do I need to get organized? Do I need to hire an expert in any area, an insurance expert, a new accountant, upgrade my attorney, whatever it is? How can I really get closer to the organization that I want, achieving the goals at a faster pace? Should I be putting more into retirement? Should I be planning for that big special occasion trip, coming up? What should I be doing? So I would just make a list, 3, 5 things at the very most. And if you're married or you make decisions financially with other people, involve them too. And make a short list of what it is that you can do to get you more quickly achieving your goals. So you're on this path of, financial success, whatever that looks like for you, how to get to the next level. What few things will draw that connection in a straight line rather than a curvy one? That's your challenge. Hope that makes sense. That makes sense to you?
That totally makes sense to me. And folks, if you are just joining us, please make sure you take the challenge. If you have questions, let us know also. And then for the future in 2024, if you have topics that you'd like Judy to cover, things that you're maybe struggling with, please let us know as well, because we can create content based on some of the suggestions or struggles that you guys are going with too. And before we go, just remember that we're here Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. and the replays on Thursdays at 8 p.m. But I have to make a comment, Judy. So I just realized in the background you have Marry Everything. And that's like about covers everything. So I'm just like, okay, I got distracted. A squirrel moment that I just saw it. And I'm like, that's a great point to end the show for sure.
I love Marry Everything and marry all the time.
Exactly.
Doesn't
So
have
with
to be
that,
here.
any final words for the show?
No, just enjoy the season, enjoy your family, and hug somebody that you love. Tell them about it.
All right, folks. Until next time, we'll see you later. Take care, Judy.
Bye bye.